Hello everybody, here I am again. Our Heavenly Father's placed a lot of things on my heart lately that I haven't actually gotten a chance to talk about. Now, a few videos ago, I told you a story about the clay maker, the potter, the clay shaper. And I told you at the time that I was telling you the story, I let you know that I wasn't telling you the whole story, that I was just telling you part of the story about the father with the obedient son and the disobedient son. The one son that runs the furnace for the kiln, and the other son that glazes everything that the father makes. Anyway, I'd let you know, I had said at the time that I wasn't telling you the whole story. And so I don't want anybody to think that's convenient for me actually to do such a thing. But that's just how it is. And so there is continued part of the story that I was told to hold on to. And at the moment, I didn't know why I was supposed to retain that information. And there is times that my Heavenly Father gives me information that I'm like permanently supposed to retain. Like, that's for me to know information. And then there's other times where it's my Heavenly Father gives me information that I need to know now, but I'm not supposed to share it yet. This is actually kind of one of those, but I didn't know that. My Heavenly Father gave me this information, told me to hold on to it and not to share that information. And I just thought that was kind of like a permanent, that was between him and I. Now I'm being told that I was holding on to that information for now, and that this information is for everyone, but I think it seems to me specifically someone. And this time, this piece of information that I'm going to give you this time is part of the story. I am not going to translate the meaning behind the story. That's up to the listener, those who have the ears to hear the truth, those who are meant to know what I'm talking about will know what I'm talking about, and those who do not know what I'm talking about, well, then it remains for you to reach discernment, reach enlightenment, and maybe say a prayer to your Heavenly Father that He may answer what it is. Ask Him. Ask Him. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then ask Him. So anyway, there's the one disobedient, rotten son that runs the furnace, and the other son that's in charge of glazing it. Now, the father, he's making, piece after piece after piece. He breathes life into this clay. Okay, and then the next stage of the process is the sun glazes them. I told you about the disobedient son that had his guys sneak a bunch of it in, a bunch of the pieces of clay into the furnace without having been glazed. And then in the next video that I had made, I let you know how mad the disobedient son was when he found out about the glazed vessels that were filled to the top with extra glaze. When I had mentioned that part, he was angry. Now, I let you know he was angry, but I didn't let you know what he did. Yeah, he was really, really extremely angry. I'm going to hold on that. Yeah, hold on. So anyway, he runs the furnace. The furnace is not the kiln. Okay? They build the heat up, they build the heat up, they build the heat up in the furnace. The kiln is loaded and loaded and loaded as the pieces of clay that are shaped are being glazed, put in. So, you know, there's stacks of all these that the Father has made. He shaped them like he wanted them. Sends them on down to the Son, the obedient Son that's going to glaze them. And then the Son has those underneath him working for him. They're the ones that are supposed to be loading them into the furnace, not the other Son. He had, you know, pre-glazed, had his, you know, his underlings, his minions, putting them in not yet glazed. So once all these pieces of clay have been loaded into the kiln, then the chamber that connects the kiln and the furnace together is opened up, and all the heat, you know, just blasts in there. It's all the heat at once, you know. So all the heat is just blasts in there, and all the pieces of clay are baked together, you know, baked at the same time. Even though they weren't made at the same time, even though they weren't glazed at the same time, the heat's getting there all at the same time. They're all loaded at different times, you know, all that. So anyway, now here's the message for someone else. This is for someone else. Specifically, at least one person needs to hear this. Maybe y'all need to hear this. But now when I said, when I let you all know that the Father had ordered the obedient Son to glaze and fill up those vessels to the top with glaze, and the disobedient Son threw a fit. He got so angry. He heard that message come from one of those clay vessels. Like, he knew where it came from. He knew which vessels had spoke. He had a general idea of where that area was, that column of vessels. The voice came from there. He was so angry, he crushed several of those vessels that had already been glazed, had already been filled with glaze. He crushed them before they were ever put into the furnace. They were crushed, not broken, not shattered, just crushed, smashed. Now, there's some more of the story here later on of how the Father reacted to this situation that I am not going to share with you. But what the Father did do is he grabbed all those smashed vases and pitchers, bowls, cups, anything that got smashed. He lumped them all together, and he reformed each one of them. But the difference between all the rest of them that were already loaded in the kennel, I can't even talk, in the kiln, all those that were in the kiln that had been glazed and loaded up and all that, that's one thing. But these pieces, the glaze had been mixed in. The glaze had been mixed in with the clay. Mixed. Glaze, clay, reformed by the Father. then loaded up before the heat was applied. So not only were they glazed, but they had the glaze mixed in with their clay before the heat was applied in the kiln. Yeah. Yep. I think that says it. There's more to the story, but that's the message someone out there needs to hear. And no, I'm not translating what that means. Yeah, but some of those bowls that some of those clay vessels our Heavenly Father sculpted that had been glazed and filled with glaze, they were smashed. Our Heavenly Father reformed them using the exact same clay, but that clay had glaze mixed into it. I love you guys. I do love you.